Yo, what is up guys, welcome to HITC Football. Today it's Monday, so that means that we just had the first weekend of the Premier League. And the Premier League obviously is the best competition in the world. I mean, we can lie about it, but it's the truth. But also, it's the most unpredictable competition in the entire world, because some results this week I really did not expect to happen. They were absolutely crazy, so let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm not gonna do this in a normal way, going game by game, but we're going to look at a few crazy stats from this week's Premier League games, and we're just gonna have a little chat about it. We're also going to talk about the games, obviously, so without further ado, let's get right into the video. Let's go. Starting off with Manchester United against Brighton, and for God's sakes, I'm really trying to give this team the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, they always do something stupid. Ten Hag, you're going to have such a difficult time. I really think that you underestimated this. And to be fair, that's what you get for leaving Ajax. I mean, you should have never done it. Okay, maybe you should have, because obviously Manchester United is a big club and there's definitely a big challenge for him there. I mean, we've seen it this weekend again, but come on, really, the club needs to help Erik out, because this squad is just not good enough to cut it in the Premier League. And I mean, the transfer window is still open. They really need to fix that midfield. I've said it for weeks now. But again, this weekend literally proved that, I mean, the squad is just not ready for the Premier League season. And I mean, this immediately shows that preseason means absolutely nothing, because yeah, they were alright, they were playing good football. I mean, there's no pressure, but when the Premier League begins and points are up for grabs, I mean, it's just a completely different story. You can't train that, and it basically showed. I mean, Manchester United is simply just not good enough. And Brighton won 2-1, a great showing for them, but even the goal that Manchester United scored was an own goal, so they didn't score any goals this game. But again, I mean, good showing from Brighton, well done. 2 goals from Pascal Gross. And the fact that Pascal Gross scored the winning goal means that he did that now 3 times. So 3 times in the Premier League he scored against Manchester United, and it ended up being the winning goal. And there's only one player in the competition history that managed to score more winning goals against Manchester United. And that player is Danny Murphy, who managed to do it 5 times against Manchester United. And something that I absolutely love from this weekend is after the game, Roy Keane was asked if he saw any positive stuff from Manchester United's game. And he straight up answered, no, I don't think so. So that just absolutely shows that, I mean, yeah, it was bad for Manchester United. I mean, that's not the way you want to start a Premier League season, right? And I'm not a Manchester United fan, obviously, but let this be a wake-up call. You guys need to strengthen, and you need to strengthen quick. I mean, the fact that they started this game with McTominay and Fred in midfield is just absolutely outrageous. It just shows that Manchester United's priorities are definitely not where they should be. And let's leave Manchester United for now, because I don't know if I have any negativity left. So let's go move on to something positive. Let's go to the other side of Manchester and talk about Manchester City. Because Manchester City did what they had to do. They won 2-0 against West Ham, which on paper is not necessarily the easiest game to start a Premier League season off. But I mean, when you have Erling Haaland, I think it's a little bit of a cheat code. Unbelievable. This guy scored 2 goals and he was absolutely on fire. And I mean, fair, you can say big surprise. Erling Haaland scoring goals on his debut, or scoring goals in general, is not necessarily special. But the way that a lot of people were talking about him after that Liverpool game, they were kind of writing him off already. But believe me guys, this guy is going to score 20-25 goals plus in the Premier League this season, and City is just unstoppable. And to be fair, as much as we all hate to see it, Manchester City is already going to be champions in like March, April. I really hate to say it, but I really don't see a different option. And for Haaland, a great showing. He scored a brace on his debut. I mean, he always scores goals on his debut. It could have been a hat-trick as well. It's absolutely ridiculous what this guy does. He's absolutely obsessed with debut goals. I mean, do you guys still remember his debut for Dortmund, where he scored a hat-trick in 23 minutes after getting subbed on? Let's be honest, this guy is no joke, and he's going to absolutely rip up the Premier League this season. And the fact that he scored a brace on his debut means that he's only the 2nd Manchester City player to do so in Premier League history, after a certain Sergio Aguero did the same in 2011. And Haaland just is a pure goal scorer. He converted his first shot on target. It was a penalty, alright, it's a little bit easier, but still. But that's not the craziest part, obviously. But the craziest stat that I've seen this weekend is that Manchester City missed 12 of their 33 Premier League penalties since 2018, which means that they missed 36% of all of those penalties since 2018, which is definitely way too high. The conversion rate for penalties should be way higher. And that's literally another thing that we can say about Haaland, because he's easily going to improve this number. So Man City is even going to get more clinical from the penalty spot now with Erling Haaland. So yeah, this is the first of many wins this season for Manchester City, the first of many goals for Erling Haaland. All in all, a great weekend for Manchester City. Moving on to another game that had a very surprising result, because to be fair, I really didn't expect this to happen, because Liverpool drew against Fulham in a 2-2 draw. And let's start off with Liverpool, because there was one player that was in the headlines for all the right reasons, and another player that was in the headlines for the wrong reasons. And you wouldn't necessarily expect that Virgil van Dijk would be that man. But this definitely wasn't his game, because for the first time since joining Liverpool, Van Dijk has been dribbled past pressed and conceded a penalty. And obviously that happened before in his Liverpool career, but this both happened in one game. And that never happened before. And the player on the end of both Fulham's goals was Alexander Mitrovic, and I mean, this is kind of ridiculous. That means that he's already on 2 goals. And will this actually be a season where Mitrovic can also cut it in the Premier League? Because as we all know, this guy is a championship striker. Last season he scored more than 40 goals in the competition. But in the Premier League, unfortunately, he's never able to cut it. But this season, it might actually be the one. Okay, it's pretty early to call that after only one game, but still it's against Liverpool and his showing was very strong. And just like many other people, I have Fulham to go down this season. But to be fair, if Mitrovic can actually start firing in the Premier League, I think that they could actually have a chance of staying in the Premier League. But I mean, we have to wait and see if Mitrovic can actually go ahead and score in the Premier League this season. But one player that's definitely going to do that is Mohamed Salah, and he did the same in this game. And the fact that he did it again this weekend meant that he broke his own record, and now he scored in 6 consecutive opening days. All in all, a great weekend from Mohamed Salah, and it will definitely take some time for Mitrovic to reach this level. Well, let's be honest, Mitrovic is never going to reach his level because Salah is on a completely different planet. Moving on to Newcastle, and there is one player that's trying to keep up with Mohamed Salah in terms of scoring on opening day. Because Callum Wilson is trying to chase that record. It doesn't necessarily help that Salah also scored, so that means that he didn't make up any territory now. But anyways, he's trying to because he scored in his 3rd consecutive opening day. And that means that he's now the 2nd Newcastle player after a certain Alan Shearer to score in 3 consecutive Premier League opening days. And to be fair, Alan Shearer is not bad company to be in as a striker. There was more good news for Newcastle because they won their first Premier League game this season, 2-0 against newly promoted Nottingham Forest. It took them until the second half to score their first goal with Fabian Schär, and after obviously Callum Wilson scored. But Newcastle did what they had to do, they won, and they started the season off really well. And there's potentially even more good news for Newcastle because they're trying to sign Benjamin Sesko, the striker that Manchester United is also trying to sign. And to be fair, I think that this guy would be a great addition to the Newcastle team, so let's see if they can get this deal done. And let's move on to Crystal Palace against Arsenal, the first game of the Premier League season. And I know that some people expected this game to go like this, but to be fair, it went alright for Arsenal. They won 2-0. Gabriel Martinelli scored after 20 minutes and Mark Guehi scored an own goal in the 85th minute. So just a solid performance for Arsenal, but it was definitely a great performance for one Arsenal player. Because clearly the man of the match of the night was William Saliba, and Jesus Christ, this guy had some great numbers in this game. In this game, he completed 100% of his take-ons, he won 100% of his aerial duels, he had a pass accuracy of 94%, recovered the ball 7 times and had 6 clearances, so this was absolutely a great debut for William Saliba. Yet another great sign for Arsenal that they have another defender that they can rely on. But anyways, a good showing from Arsenal, and let's move on to the next game. Moving on to Chelsea, who played away at Goodison Park against Everton. They won 1-0, and to be fair, I have to say Everton actually wasn't that bad. You could clearly see that they lacked a lot of quality in the attack, but in all honesty, they battled for the win, and I mean, obviously they didn't get it because Chelsea won 1-0 due to a goal from Jorginho from the penalty spot. And also that's something that we're definitely used to, Jorginho scoring from the penalty spot, and there's also a crazy stat that backs this up. Because Jorginho scored his 20th Premier League goal over the weekend, and 18 out of those 20 goals were penalty goals. So that means that only 2 were non-penalty goals. So I mean, that shows that the guy is definitely a specialist at what he does. But that's ridiculous. I don't know if anybody else in the game has a record like that. But in my opinion, things aren't actually looking that bleak for Everton this season. Obviously, like I said before, it's difficult to base a team off of one game, but they didn't make a bad impression on me, and also they're trying to sign a few players. I heard that Kalisic is linked, Depay as well. But Everton are working hard to get a few more signings in, which is definitely needed, especially in the attack. Because in all fairness, they could have played for another 90 minutes, but Everton were never going to score. Moving on to Spurs, and okay, I have to confess something. You guys have been saying that I've been negative about Spurs for quite some time. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I want to change this. It's a new season, so I will have to put my bias aside, and I mean, I will try to be open-minded about Spurs this season. I will not bash them for no reason. Obviously, if they have a bad game, I will be the first one to point it out. But alright, I will be open-minded. And let's start with that today, because they had a great game. They won 4-1 against Southampton, and all in all, it was just a great start to the season for Spurs. And the team definitely showed heart after going 1-0 down to a goal from James Ward-Prowse. Because only 9 minutes later, Ryan Sessegnon already scored the 1-1 equalizer. And 40 minutes later, they were already 4-1 up, so just a great game from Spurs. And to be fair, there are 3 players in the Spurs squad that have been performing absolutely ridiculous in 2022. Because in the Premier League in 2022, there are only 4 players directly involved in 15 or more goals. And 3 of those players are Spurs players. Son and Kane both have 21, Kulusevski has 15, and right between them, there's Kevin De Bruyne who has 17 goal involvement. So that means that for the first game week, Spurs are actually in first in the Premier League table. And the other results from the weekend were Leicester City against Brighton. They played out a 2-2 draw. Bournemouth won 2-0 against Aston Villa, and that's definitely very impressive for the newly promoted team. And especially against Aston Villa, because really I have high expectations from Aston Villa, but well done from Bournemouth. And the goal that Jefferson Lerma scored after 1 minute and 56 seconds was the quickest goal on match day 1 by a newly promoted team in Premier League history. Definitely a great result from a team that got promoted this season. So now let's talk about a good result from a team that almost got relegated last season. Because Leeds United managed to win 2-1 against Wolves. So far they started the season off pretty well without Rafinha and Calvin Phillips. So anyways guys, those were a few facts from match day 1 in the Premier League. Let me know in the comments down below what was the craziest thing you've seen this weekend. And also let me know if your team managed to get a good result. And as always, be sure to like, share and subscribe. Click on my videos on the end screen right now, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.